Welcome to online lectures by CA Studies. For more lectures online, please do visit castudies.lk.
Hi everyone, I'm Claire Lianu, your lecturer for CL3 Advanced Management Accounting subject. So today let's start the first chapter of the subject, which is identifying the changes in modern manufacturing environments and the implications of management accounting. So basically previously there was a traditional accounting system and a modern manufacturing system as well, right? But what happened, so let's see why traditional manufacturing environments no longer exist. That is because of globalization, increased competition and internal restructuring and mergers. Okay, so what this means is when the world tried to start more trade, right, more activities with advances in information technology, I would say IT, right? Their business opportunities increased. As a result, a lot of competition enhanced, okay? And with that, mergers and acquisition took place, right? In such an environment, traditional costing methods cannot suit. That's why, so what changed was traditional costing had cost reporting, right? But in modern manufacturing, it changed to functional and process reporting. And that is under the category of activity-based costing. So, okay, let's see what were the problems in traditional manufacturing environment and their costing methods. So, under cost reporting, they mainly had absorption costing and marginal costing. So, those two methods involved these particular measurements, cost measurements. So, cost measurements were purchase price variance, labor efficiency variance, machine utilization, cost of scrap, and then scrap related standard cost, and then again the absorption costing and the cost center reporting. Now these measures were like this. Now if you take purchase price variance, this encouraged us to purchase more items, right? Because they wanted to reduce the variance in the purchase price, budgeted and actual. So by buying lot of items, you are able to get discount. And because of the discount, you are able to reduce this variance. But what happens as a result? As a result, your inventory levels will rise up. Okay? So which is not right. It will bring inefficiencies to your organization. And then as a result of high inventory, you will have other costs, which are high holding cost, and you might ignore the quality because your objective is to increase your purchase price. Right. Purchase price, actually reduce your purchase price variance. Then you have labor efficiency variance. Labor efficiency variance means you reduce the gap between actual labor efficiencies and budgeted labor efficiency. But what happens is, so this actually encourages greater output because of increased efficiency. But as a result, there's a possibility of excess inventory of the wrong products, because you might try to focus on improving their efficiency and they might try to work hard on it. Sometimes they will ignore the quality of production, right? Because they want to finish the number of hours assigned to them. So that is an issue in traditional costing measurements. Then you have machine utilization. So machine utilization measurements encourage high running time, but that also creates inventory problem, right? Same as labor efficiency. And then you have cost of scrap. So cost of scrap means what it will give is rework items to reduce scrap. So you will try to reduce your scrap by trying to reuse your waste resources. But as a result, your production process, production process will be on hold because you're reworking your items, right? Reworking scrap. So that is another issue. Then you have again scrap factor included in standard cost. So this means supervisor aims to achieve actual scrap equals standard scrap, something like that. He aims to achieve a scrap, right? So which is so he doesn't have a motivation to get it right the first time, okay, because he wants to include a scrap amount in the standard cost because it is required by the traditional costing method. Then you have cost center reporting. You have your absorption costing, and then the cost center reporting, they focus more on the cost of the cost centers rather than the cost drivers. So this cost center reporting has been modified to activity based costing, where you focus on cost drivers within the cost center. Okay, so this is how your costings changed from traditional to modern manufacturing environment. So now we've seen what are the differences between traditional and modern manufacturing environments and their management accounting system, costing systems, right? So now let's focus on the just-in-time and just-in-case system, which is relating to modern manufacturing environment. Okay. So basically, what is just-in-time? So basically first, before that, I will give you all a mind map so that you all can reflect the same which is in the notes, and it's easy to remember, right? If you all like, you all can take down your mind map. Okay. So let's learn what is just-in-time, right? Just-in-time means you don't have lead times, okay? You order something when it is demanded only, right? It is called a pull system. So you could mention just-in-time is a pull system, right? Pull system means you prioritize the customer demand. Based on your customer demand, you order the production, and based on your production, you get the raw materials from supplier, right? So the base is the customer. So this is number one. All right. So so that is a just-in-time system, also known as a pull system. Then we have push systems, right? Push systems are belonging to just-in-case, where so you would put it, let's write down push system. So a just-in-case means in case your raw materials are not is not sufficient and you fear that you will lose your demand, right? You will not meet your demand. Then you will keep excess stock. That excess stock storing system is called just-in-case because you fear the uncertainty. So in just-in-case you have push system where you prioritize, the supplier, right? So like of course you prioritize your customer as well, but you don't create orders as and when the customer requests. So yeah, right, so you do the production and then so that's how it works. So in the book they've given you vice versa, but what you need to realize is your customer is not the first person. Okay, next we'll learn what are the two types of just-in-time. So the two types of just-in-time are just-in-time production and purchasing. Production involves where you produce finished goods only when demanded, and in a production line a component is produced only when it is required by the next process. That means in your production line, so based on customer demand, you produce finished goods, right? Produce finished goods. Then within your production line, right, goods don't move from one process to another without being demanded by the next process. So how you would put it is, maybe line 1, line 2, okay, it won't go, it will go when demanded only. Okay, so that's how it works. That's how just-in-time production works. Then let's see what is just-in-time purchasing. That means you buy your raw materials, not produce, buy the raw materials when you need, that means when the customer demands it. So that is, it goes with the definition itself, based on customer demand, purchase or buy raw materials. Okay. All right. Then let's see what are the objectives of having a JIT system, right? So so what are the objectives, and then what you could say what are the benefits as well, right? So the objectives of a JIT system is, maybe you could, so since it's part of a pull system, maybe like over here you could write objectives. First is high quality. Okay, high quality means JIT enables you to reduce production errors. As a result, you are able to achieve high quality. Why reduce production errors? Because you are not having lead times. Everything is happening like instantly, right? So everybody is alert about the situation. So that's the reason it reduces production errors and lead to high quality. So low production errors and therefore high quality. Next, speed. Okay, so this is point 1. Point 2 is speed. Speed, it goes with the term JIT, where there are no lead times, so quickly you can do your production. So that's what it means. But they also say in your book that throughput in the operation must be fast so that customer orders can be met by production rather than from inventory. So throughput is the next point we will be learning. Just remember, throughput must be faster, right? For the moment, let's learn what is throughput. It is known as how when we have insufficient resources within production lines, how we manage it to improve our speed and production efficiency, right? So for now, just say throughput, speed. Okay. Then thirdly, it goes with quality, that is reliability. How reliable your production is. You can guarantee your production, right? Because there are no production hold-ups. Because there are no chance to stop your production because of the JIT system. So you have reliability as a goal, and it's a benefit at the same time. Then let me continue over here, or maybe on the top. Okay, flexibility is the next benefit, and with that goes low costs. Alright, how it is flexible? Because we are responding to customer orders instantly. So our production process can't be like not flexible. It should be easy to change at any given time. That's why it is flexible, and it's a benefit. And you have low cost because you don't have lead times, you don't have inventory. Because of that, your cost of holding inventory or cost of production will be low. That's why you lower the cost, and that becomes a benefit for your manufacturing company. Alright, let's move on to the next. Okay, let's see the 3 key elements relating to just in time. So the 3 key elements are similar to the objectives of JIT, which are elimination of waste, right? Elimination of waste, and then you have involvement of all staff, okay, of all staff, and continuous improvement. Improvement. So, how does your waste get eliminated? It gets eliminated because you don't have production hold-ups, you don't have production lead times, because everything happens instantly as and when the customer demands, right? Therefore, no waste will happen cause due to the flexibility benefit of JIT. Okay, because it's flexible, hence you are able to reduce your waste, eliminate waste. Okay, next is involvement of all staff. Now everybody needs to contribute in order to achieve a goal. That's why, otherwise let's say one department did it on time, but the other department, they purposely delayed. The labor efficiency became a bit more inefficient, right? They purposely delayed. Then you can't meet the goal of JIT, which is one goal is speed. Alright. So because of that, you need to involve all your staff members in order to achieve the JIT benefits. So that is one main key element. Next is continuous improvement. You have to continuously improve your process, irrespective of like whatever the changes that happen. You always need to monitor based on your customer demand, and then continuously improve and look at ways you can eliminate waste and gain these benefits, because we cannot achieve 100% output instantly. Even in JIT there can be 1% defect in a practical term, but because of that, we need to implement a continuous improvement process, which we will learn next, which is also called Kaizen. So Kaizen, it is the continuous improvement theory. Alright, so let's look at it later. Now let's look at again they are saying how JIT can be beneficial as a management technique, right? So we looked at the objectives. Now we are going to look at detailed benefits. Detailed benefits involve, there are many. Okay. So the first is work standards. Creates work standards. You should remember these keywords because they might ask in the MCQ question. So like better remember the keywords. Work standards. And then flexibility, same as previously as we learned. Also equality. Why equality? Because they tend to minimize their resources as much as possible. So by minimizing, they will give all facilities available to all employees, right? So that is called equality. Then you have autonomy in individuals. Autonomy means you give the freedom for all the employees to make their decisions on achieving JIT. So not only the senior management should involve, the junior management and the people must involve in achieving the objectives of JIT. Then you have trained staff. Okay, so you train staff and you get more, increase their skills. As a result, they are able to meet this speed and high quality objective of a JIT. Okay, so next let's it is mentioned as speed, which is the same, and then you have JIT avoids the risk of making a costly investment decision by encouraging the use of several simple machines. Yeah, you tend to use very simple processes, I would say equipment and process, because that is only when you are able to achieve high speed. If not, when it is a complex equipment or complex procedure, you can't take less time to meet the customer demand because you are meeting instantly. Nothing is ready before the customer demands from you. So you need to be alert about that. Then we have so we had speed stuff and the workflow. So workflow must go in hand, right, without interruption. Meaning when moving from one production to another, from one line actually, one line to another, there should not be any barriers. There should not be any stop times. Okay, that's why then only we can achieve perfect JIT. So we have to improve our workflow processes. Then the next is total productive management. This is like a term, better to remember. So total productive management means the employees in the production flow itself will look for improvements in maintenance and are encouraged to take ownership of repairing the machine or doing so, just as autonomy. Okay, so autonomy is created by this technique called total productive management, where a group of employees are formed to look into workflow issues in order to achieve your JIT objective. Then you have reduced setup times. Reduced setup times are I would say machine setup times. That means when moving from one production line to another production line, the time used by the machine or the setup time before starting to produce must be low. Then only you can quickly shift your products from one line to another. So that is also combined with this technique of having a workflow without interruption. Okay. So then we have improving total people involvement policy. Like that is same as productive management. You might get in your MCQ, total people involvement policy is a management technique of JIT. Then you should, so it is. Why? Because all staff, it's a key element where all staff must be involved in the JIT system. Then only you can achieve your JIT goal. So total people involvement policy is one thing that they implement. Then you have JIT encourages visibility at work. Visibility. Visibility means increased, so everybody can see what's happening in each department, because everybody works together, everybody wants to finish it in time. So everybody should, if each department task is more visible to each other, they know where to help and when something can go wrong, all of that. So because of that, they improve the visibility of every section or department. Okay, that to signal problems. Goal is to signal problems. Okay, that is that. Then you have enables good supplier relationships through JIT purchasing. So the quality of material is 100% on supplier's hand, so that there won't be any production delays, and therefore inventories can be kept at zero level. So since we in the pull system, right, so you base your supplier request based on your customer demand. So you should have a very good relationship with your supplier to obtain the goods in a more quality and speedy way to meet your customer requirements. If you don't have a proper relationship, the supplier may not be willing to provide you the goods in time or provide you low quality goods, which will not let you meet the customer demand, and then you will have low sales and not enjoy the benefit of JIT. Then you have Kanban, a control system within JIT that controls the flow of materials from one process to another. Okay, so that is one technique which you should remember. Let's write here, Kanban controls. Okay. So how it works is, a card is used by an internal customer as a signal to an internal supplier that the customer now requires more parts or materials. So the card will contain details of the materials required. A production system might use Kanban squares. A space is marked on the workshop floor. When the space is empty, it acts as a signal for production to start at the previous stage. Okay, and it acts as a signal that production should be halted. Right, so this is something internal, okay? It's an internal control. How it is an internal control is, so what they mean by internal customer is internal departments, okay? Internal customer supply is the internal department. Maybe, now let's say example, you're moving materials from one department to another, right? One department to another. Then in these situations, let's say it's department 1, department 2. Okay. When department 1 transfers materials to department 2, department 1 becomes the internal supplier, and department 2 is the receiver of the goods and hence becomes the internal customer. Okay, so the internal customer actually must request for materials from the department 1, right? Request. So that's called as a card. They request it in a card. Okay, request in a card. And so then that's how they then transfer information between department by basing this card as an evidence. So that is like the Kanban control for as part of JIT. Then you have JIT in service operations. Seeks to remove queues of customers because they consume more time, more space for customer to wait, low customer perception on quality. So JIT in service operations seeks to remove queues means don't think about JIT production. Think about JIT in a service environment, right? So in a service environment, which is here, service environment, JIT in a service environment will have the goal of delivering service immediately. With delivering service immediately. So to deliver service immediately, they have to see what are the barriers to that. One barrier is customer queue, right? Because of slow process from our end, from the supplier's end. Okay, so JIT should focus on reducing the customer queue. How to reduce customer queues is by improving the service process, improving the service process design, like who will take the order, who will then make the bill, who will prepare the food. The time between those different activities must be planned out instantly, right? In a food service, that would be the best example. Okay. So that's where they say, so it helps improve customer queues and removes unnecessary tasks. So like repetitive tasks, they will like maybe computerize it, so that it will be not taking more time. Okay. Alright. With that, we finish how we could see JIT as a management technique. And now let's move on to the problems with a JIT system.
Thank you for watching the video. Stay tuned with castudies.lk for more lectures online.